Hey there berries, this video is sponsored by Professor. If you're looking for a free application that can help you improve your win ratio in your solo queue games, then Professor is the application for you. In game, it gives you loads of useful stats, comparing you to other people your ELO to see if you're keeping up, such as XP and CS. When you get out of game, also you can have a look at your match history and kind of see where you went wrong, how many times you died compared to other people in your ELO, and kind of work out what things you need to work on, like if it's vision, or if it's not dying as much, or maybe just playing a different champion. You can download Professor for free using the link in the description down below. Bizzleberry is bringing you the 12.20 support tier list and patch notes. Sorry that this tier list is a little bit later than usual. Just haven't had the time to come around and do it, but here I am. Not a huge amount going into this patch. The main ones are probably like the Blitzcrank adjustment, but overall in terms of actual direct changes to supports, there isn't really anything here. There's a couple of minor things that we'll talk about, and then we'll quickly go over to the tier list and talk about some slight reshuffling. But overall, this episode I don't think will last too long, so I'll just go through the stuff relatively quickly. So once again, we're on a support perspective. So in terms of Aatrox, we don't really care about. Action, one thing I'll mention about here is that his swing is now infinite, which is kind of funny. I haven't seen it in my games yet, but I've seen YouTube videos, or like TikTok should I say, of people like going into enemy base and then using this on a rock, or like on the rock near like the I don't even know what they call, like the gates in your base, and using this ability just swinging around whilst hitting like 2 waves of CS and stuff, and nobody can attack the action when he's quite fed. So yeah, he's kind of invincible and he can literally just spin around like Tarzan forever. It's kind of funny. Anyway, Blitzcrank did have a slight readjustment because he was incredibly strong on the previous patch. But let's just go through it now. So base AD has been lowered by 2, which means honestly it will add up a little bit in terms of damage, in terms of like the level 2, because when you activate E, when you hit someone and knock someone up, you do double damage. So this was like you lose 4 damage from the base AD dropping down by 2, and then usually it's quite easy to get like the auto attack reset with that as well. So if you do like hook, then auto, then E, so you're losing another 2 damage. So you're losing 6 to 8 damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but like level 2 is, it's a decent like amount of extra damage that everything makes all the difference. Also his base attack speed got reduced slightly. They've also made Blitzcrank weaker in the laning phase, so 15% shield compared to 30% base throughout the entire game. If you make it to those later stages, and you do get 45% maximum mana shield, which is huge. But as a support, that's like not really going to affect you. So level 30% now will be at level 9. So, you know, in a game you will get like a level between like level 11 and level 14 relatively often. So into the mid to late game it is a buff, but you'll notice that your passive isn't blocking as much during laning phase, which is where like Blitzcrank kind of dominates the most. Kind of nuts. Going on to here with the overdrive, but this affects monsters. So they're trying to get Blitzcrank to become jungle. He is kind of jungle viable. I haven't seen Blitzcrank jungle in my games yet though, but I'm pretty sure he can be played in that role. And the power fist has been reduced in terms of AD as well. So overall, generally it's a pretty sizable nerf to Blitzcrank, I would say. Will he still be a menace in solo queue? Yeah, for sure. And we'll go over to the tier list in a second and talk about it still, and why I feel like he is still quite high up on the tier list even with these changes. Elise is getting nerfed, I think. Evelyn changes, don't care about. Gwen, Jace, we don't care about. Kennen, no, we still don't care about. Maokai, I really don't like Maokai's support, and at the moment I think he's absolutely garbage. I am all up for Maokai being potentially viable. I enjoyed playing him when he was AP. As a tank, I still think he's just completely trash. And same as top. I know there's been a lot of people playing Maokai support. I cannot recommend it. I think it's so bad. Even like the top lane Maokai's I've seen when getting, it's just a complete disaster. So I have yet to see a Maokai that actually impresses me. I don't see the point in playing Maokai support personally. There'll probably be a couple people watching this going, I like playing Maokai support. Do whatever you like. It's your LP. I can't recommend it to any person though. Any sane human being. Ramos is getting buffed, I think. Okay. And there's a set change there. Do we care about the set change? I don't think we do, because I don't. Once again, set was like, even when he was meta, I don't think set was particularly amazing either. So yeah, nothing really we care about here in terms of support. Ziggs is getting an interesting, like, ever so slight buff on his Q. So I haven't seen an increase in Ziggs AP carry, but this is quite a nice little extra buff, to be honest. Ziggs was already doing quite a lot of damage with his Q early on, so plus 10 on that is it's not too shabby at all. Now this is an item that I've been asked about a little bit. Demonic Embrace. So it used to be an item that you take like Liandry's and Demonic Embrace. Like you do that with Zyra and Brand and stuff, but it's kind of like fallen off a little bit in terms of doing that. I think overall, Demonic Embrace got slightly nerfed against tanks, but overall against like everyone else, this is like a minor buff. So this item technically, I think this item got technically minor buffed for the people that like playing Zyra and Brand. So if you're just going Liandry's Demonic Rush, you could do it this on Morgana, where it's like you go Liandry's into Demonic Embrace, and then just like you won't have Azonias, because you will not be able to afford Azonias if you buy Demonic Embrace. So I think it's an interesting kind of pickup. I haven't been able to do it in my games personally. I only managed to do one Zyra game, and I was still too poor to even think about picking up a Demonic Embrace. So yet to be confirmed, but the change isn't really like that huge. But against like say a big Scion or a big Cho'Gath, like you will be doing a sizable amount of damage less than you would like to, because this item really should be an anti-tank item. I don't fully agree with the range burn damage per tick being reduced because of it, because I think tanks, like if they are allowed to get really tanky, then honestly there isn't much to stop them. So I disagree with the change that Riot's made here. I think reducing the health is fine and buffing AP. Because they're saying here they don't want like Zac, Amumu, and Udyr to like spam this item, but I don't think it really goes too much. I think Amumu and Udyr and Zac will probably still be picking up this item anyway. I don't really think they care. There is a Frozen Heart change. It's going to cost a lot more money, so it was kind of potentially viable to pick it up on a couple of tanks, but like it's getting even more expensive now. It's still okay. It is overall enough though, so it's tough to necessarily recommend for a support anymore, like a tank support. Mortal Reminder doesn't really affect too much unless you're playing Senna. It could be used on a Senna. It's not the worst item in the world. And then Sterix is getting buffed, I think. Yeah, that's gross. I don't like this change that they're buffing Sterix. Anyway, that is it in terms of like the runes and the items and everything like that. If we go straight over to the tier list, I'm just going to say tier 4 and tier 5 are exactly the same, because the overall meta shift hasn't been too bad. There's been a couple of champions that if you've been watching well, it's been popping up a little bit more, like the Yuumi has gone up more in terms of play rate. I'm keeping it at tier 4 though. Don't forget this tier list is kind of designed for unranked to low plat. Yuumi has still got like a 45% win rate in silver and bronze, so yeah, if you are playing that champion, then you are kind of like griefing if you are in particularly lower elo. But if you're in Diamond Plus, Yuumi is a pain in the butt. I tell you that. Yuumi is real toxic to play against in high elo. So just get high elo, then you can play Yuumi as much as you like. Well, as long as she's not banned, because she's banned quite a lot. Yeah, moving up to tier 3. Not too much of a shift there. I think I've been enjoying Ashe support a lot. I think that's kind of underrated at the moment. I think if you're particularly good with your ultimate, I think Ashe is actually really good. Lux, I was thinking about edging towards tier 2 for a reason I'm going to explain in a second, but at Lux I was kind of like thinking about tier 2, but she hasn't quite met that requirement, I don't think, but she is on a higher end of tier 3. And don't forget, like, if you do play a main tier 3 champions, it's not the end of the world. A lot of these champions you know, are okay, even the Maokai. You can get away with doing it, but I, as I said before, I personally hate Maokai and Shaco, but their win rates are the only reason why they kept up into tier 3. Moving up onto tier 2, I moved Tarek down from tier 1 to tier 2. So, okay, how do I explain this one? So I think Tarek, in terms of win rate, is busted, okay? You probably will need slight nerfing, but because of the ELO that we are talking about, I don't quite think it's a good recommendation for a lot of either new supports or supports struggling to climb up the ladder, purely because I think he is extremely difficult to play, and knowing what to do, and you do need a lot of support experience in doing so. So I don't fully recommend people pay Tarek, but I do acknowledge the fact that his win rate is kind of busted. So, but he is played by like a very small audience at the same time. So, yeah. Brand's still doing really well in the lower ELO brackets of bronze to gold. His win rates are going up. I think they went up ever so slightly as well because of the demonic embrace change. It's quite hard to like see that for sure, but I'm pretty sure Brand's win rate went up ever so slightly because I think you were taking Leandri's and demonic embrace secondary mandatory anyway. So I think he's kind of benefited a little bit more from the slight marginal extra AP instead of HP change, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% fully convinced that is why the win rate's gone up, but it's what the only thing that has changed this patch to potentially suggest that. Soraka, I've moved back up from tier 3 to tier 2. She was already quite high tier 3. I've moved up into a solid like kind of like tier 2 position. She's doing fine. If you want to play Soraka, she's still absolutely great. Moving up into tier 1, I have actually jumped up Morgana quite a lot. The reasoning behind that is because Worlds. So it has encouraged a lot of supporters to play tanks, like Nautilus and Blitzcrank and Thresh. If a lot of people get influenced from watching Worlds games and going, oh, I can be the pros, guys. I can do what so and so pro player does and copy them. Morgana generally does pretty well against the tanks. So the rising in tanks that you might be seeing in the bronze to gold, Morgana's actually smurfing quite hard, and a very strong blind pick right now just because of the tendency of the enemy support taking a harder engaged champion. Blitzcrank is still tier 1. He did get nerfed. He was like giga busted, and now he's just like, he's balanced busted. He's like, he's strong enough to like do so well in games without it being feeling like absolutely broken. But like, yeah, before that he needed nerfing again, or nerfing after the remake that he had. So yeah, Blitzcrank is still tier 1. He's a high tier 1. Is he the strongest champion on this tier 1 list? I think last patch, yes. This patch, I think Zyra takes it. I think Zyra's doing it particularly like well as well. Zyra has been doing extremely well in solo queue in this bracket for a very long time, and she's generally been stable the last few seasons as well. So if that is something that you want to try and eye up maybe and give a go, then I would highly recommend it. Top enchanter in this tier, if you don't include Morgana being an enchanter, then Sona I think is really good. Don't feel too bad if you have to max W early, honestly. I think W max early is really strong. Not exactly the most exciting gameplay, but I think it is doing particularly well right now in solo queue. And then yeah, Blitzcrank is the #1 engage. Amumu's doing really well too. He's just quite squishy to go in. Needs a little bit more experience in terms of the player to know how to use it. But honestly, after a game, you should be fine. I wouldn't recommend going Glacial Augment Amumu. I think you really need the Aftershock, otherwise you do get blown up way too fast. So yeah, Aftershock Amumu rather than Glacial Augment Amumu. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. I try to keep it as short as possible. I think we got hit 14 minutes or 15 minutes. So yeah, I'll try and keep it lower when there's not too many changes. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. I hope you climb during the last kind of patches really until end of season. It's not long now until you need to get that gold rank for your end of season skin, which I think is Sejuani. Let me know in the comment section down below if it is Sejuani. I'm pretty sure it's Victoria Sejuani, I think. But yeah, good job if you already hit gold. Well done. And if you're not quite there yet, then just a little bit more of a push. Maybe that one of these champions in tier 1 or tier 2 can help you out. So all the best. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I do these tier lists every 2 weeks. I've got support guides on the channel, and I will still be putting up support gameplay stuff. So wishing you all the best, and see you tomorrow for another video. Bye. Bye. You're not waving back. I mean, wave at the screen. Bye.